I hate hiking. I hate the outdoors. I hate being sweaty and dirty, bored, and nowhere near a good Wi-Fi signal. Yet here we were, hiking. And I was sweaty, dirty, bored, and nowhere near a good Wi-Fi signal. Life was currently unpleasant. Dad said it would be good for us to get out of the city for a while. He didn't say why. It was obvious work was getting to him. Stress always makes him want to run away from the situation until he can figure out a way to manage it. I figured that's what we were doing out in the woods. Running away, one sweaty step at a time. Every night he'd make me do my homework by the fire while he sat at his laptop with the satellite internet connection I wasn't allowed to use. I didn't really think much of it. I know he does important stuff with that other people can't look at. Those are his rules. Still, I wish I could have gotten online just for a little while. After we'd been hiking for 4 days, Dad started to take unusual interest in the plants we were passing. He'd pull off scraps of leaves and vines and roots and put them in bags. Later, when we'd set up camp in the evenings, he'd pull out a little microscope that he brought and take notes on his laptop. I didn't ask questions. It was obviously work-related. On the 5th day, after Dad collected his samples and looked at them under the microscope, he seemed to get pretty excited. He didn't jump up or down or anything, but his mood went from his brooding, no-nonsense default to something kind of like a kid. It was weird and a little annoying. I could tell he wanted to talk to me about some of the stuff he found, but he had to keep his mouth shut. Then I got a surprise. He did start talking, and not just about normal dad stuff, about his work, about his projects. I'd always known he was one of the top guys at a place called Applied Dynamics, and that the company was huge. I never knew what he really did, however. If someone asked, I just said, biology stuff. Turns out I wasn't wrong. Dad talked about samples that we were turning up on the plants around us. Samples that, according to him, were getting denser and denser as we made our way through the woods. When I asked what he was talking about, he told me just to wait. He didn't say he wouldn't tell me at all, but only that I had to wait. Even though I didn't know what he was talking about. For the first time, I started to get a little excited on this trip. On the morning of the 6th day, he told me we needed to pick up the pace. He'd been studying his laptop since before I'd woken up, and there seemed to be some sort of urgency in his voice. I didn't argue. I helped him pack up the campsite and we headed off. He was moving at a good clip all day, and when I wanted to stop for lunch, he said to eat it while we walked. Even when I had to duck behind a tree for a few minutes, he just kept walking and yelled for me to catch up. I did. When the sun began to set, we entered a clearing at the top of the hill. Dad stopped walking. He put down his backpack, pulled out the laptop, and sat in the grass. "Are we here?" I asked. "Yeah," Dad replied. "We're here." I set up the tent while he typed and complained about how the solar charging thing for his laptop hadn't done a good job over the course of the day. It grew darker and stars dotted the sky. I'd never seen the stars so clearly. There were so many. I heard rustling in the bushes to our left. It startled me, but Dad put his hand on my arm and said not to worry. I stared at the bushes. A deer peeked its head out and looked around. I sighed with relief. "Why don't you look for constellations?" Dad asked. With nothing better to do, I took his advice. I saw a few. "How much longer will—" I started to say, but was cut off. "Look up there," Dad instructed, and pointed. I followed his finger and saw a black dot forming over the stars. It grew larger as the seconds passed, blocking more and more of them. I couldn't tell what it was. The bushes rustled again. I glanced over. It was the same deer. When I looked up again, I yelped. The stars were gone. No, not gone. Blocked entirely. There was something hovering over the clearing. It was massive and unlike anything I'd ever seen before. In the faint light coming from the crescent moon, I could see it was fleshy and pockmarked with tightly grouped holes that made me feel intensely uncomfortable. Dad said something that sounded like, "Go ahead, Ida." He pulled a flashlight out of his bag and illuminated the ground beneath the object. The deer disappeared from the bushes and instantaneously reappeared at the center of the clearing. 3 more deer joined it, along with countless squirrels, birds, woodchucks, and a bear. They didn't move. "Dad, what?" I tried, but was cut off again. "At your own pace, Ida." A dark orange smoke began to pour out of the hovering object and descended on the group of animals. I instinctively drew a breath of clean air and held it. Dad shook his head. "Don't worry. You'll be fine." I exhaled and watched. When the smoke touched the animals, their fur or feathers or skin began to move, then split. Blood coated the grass. I felt severe revulsion, but didn't turn away. From the fissures, long, stringy objects erupted. They looked like mushrooms. Remember when I was looking in the microscope, Mo? There were spores on the plants. All the plants and animals around here have them. It's working. I didn't know what he was talking about, and I was paying him very little attention at the moment. The tips of the stringy mushrooms ballooned and dropped off, leaving baseball-sized pieces in the bloody grass. The animals continued to disintegrate as more and more of the fungus burst forth and dropped off. I blinked at the hovering thing, and it was gone. The animals were nothing but pulp now. A thick bouquet of mushrooms grew in their place. "Watch," Dad whispered. The round bits had fallen off the mushrooms and started to wiggle, then shudder. Tubes about as long as my fingers slid out. They slapped and withered around in the gore, and then they went rigid. With a final wiggle, the pieces turned on top of the tubes. The tubes were legs. The pieces skittered off in every direction with delicate streams of orange smoke leaking from their bodies. "We'll stay here for 3 more days," Dad informed me. "And when we get back, everything's going to be a lot different. You'll see." Flies buzzed over the animal remains. Hi, this is Amori. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Please subscribe for even more stories every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.